AEA staff support some of the best work happening in school buildings all over the state. We're going to take our listeners on the road into these buildings and talk to AEA and district staff about partnerships making a difference for kids. If you didn't already know, the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, aims to ensure all students get a quality education. It does so in part by providing each individual school building with an annual score based on data. Buildings that do not meet standards set by the state receive help from both the Department of Ed and the AEA through a school improvement process. On this week's episode, we dive into another Grantwood AEA success story, how collectively the Cedar Rapids Community School District and Grantwood AEA work together to increase the achievement scores in nearly all Cedar Rapids buildings. To kick things off, I sat down with Grantwood AEA administrators Tracy Lieberman, John Zimmerman, and Bill Polk to discuss our school improvement process. Why don't you guys tell me a little bit about what's our relationship like with districts when we are working with them on ESSA?
We have an ESSA process that we're going through, so we have some monthly or quarterly check-ins that our staff are engaged with school districts on. They check in with building leadership teams and administrators on how things are going with their school improvement efforts related to being a designated school.
How is our process this year different than, or slightly different than maybe what we've done in the past with ESSA?
So the resource allocation review would be something that's a little bit different, and that's done at the district level, where the district kind of talks about what resources they've allocated for the different buildings, and that may contribute to maybe some of their designations.
It's always nice to hear we're updating our processes. I was curious if the ESSA team itself has changed compared to prior years.
Yeah, so we've made a real effort this year to put in place a very diverse group of people to help support the schools. So diverse meaning that they have expertise in different backgrounds: literacy, math, ELL, early childhood, representation, social, emotional, behavioral health. We have a team of people who have expertise in those areas who then can go in and support schools with all of the SAMI questioning, action planning, reviewing data, reviewing their resources, etc.
Grantwood AEA supports these ESSA designated schools through resource allocation reviews, data reviews, the self-assessment of MTSS implementation, and then finally the action planning on steps they'll take to improve as a school. Let's take Cedar Rapids, for example. We have two school improvement consultants, Tom and Erica, who are there. What's their role look like in the ESSA process?
The school improvement consultant's role really is as part of a team to be able to help coordinate efforts across the different role groups and disciplines to be able to bring everybody together to the table to help solve these problems. So they are instrumental in the communication with the school districts and the buildings that we serve to be able to coordinate all of these different schedules and to really convene a broad-based team to tackle the complexities that we know are multifaceted within school improvement efforts.
We're always engaged in this process, and it's even more intensive for districts that receive an ESSA designation. I was eager to sit down with Nicole Koiker, Deputy Superintendent of the Cedar Rapids Community School District, to hear about the great work we're doing together. Would you talk about Erica, Tom, and their role to helping you with ESSA?
They really are the driving force behind making sure those meetings are set up and in place, making sure we have the right teams involved. And both of them do such a nice job. We don't want these separate plans. We don't want a separate ESSA plan and a separate school improvement plan. How do we get one plan with goals that, again, we can achieve in our gaps and our areas that we need to work on, especially in our comprehensive and targeted buildings?
Only a handful of your schools are really involved in the official ESSA process. Correct. But I think what you've tried to do is embed that in some of your regular school improvement work. Is that true?
That is correct. So every month we have data reviews and conversations where executive directors and AEI staff go and support schools, whether they're comprehensive or targeted or meeting all the needs of the students currently. So we've really tried to embed the process and keep it so all buildings are actually focused on it, because it's about continuous improvement. What does this look like? How are we going to achieve our goals? How are we going to continue to show those improvements? And how do we as a leadership team, which encompasses Erica and Tom, do this together to get results.
It's great to know they have such a concrete process, but what about the results? I asked what they were most pleased about with the ESSA process.
So I'm impressed that we've shown a lot of growth. We had a lot of celebrations this year. A lot of schools moved off the list. And I think that's because, again, we've been very intentional about the work and that this can really get us different results. And we have shown some drastic growth in a lot of our buildings. So for us, 28 of our 32 buildings have maintained or improved by at least one level this year, which is a huge celebration. Something we're really excited about. Yes, a lot to celebrate there. People are excited that we're using data on a regular basis to really drive what we're doing in buildings and our instructional components. So
and that it's making a difference. The tangible results it's a big deal.
It's making a huge difference. Our screener scores continue to see improvements. Our ISASP, we're looking forward to good results this year too. And it's all about, I believe, that intentional ESSA process that's happening.
I think we have an exceptional relationship with even our largest districts, which isn't always the case. And I think it's because we've had such good partners. I mean, you, Noreen, Craig. I mean, we've got good people in both teams, and I think that makes a real difference.
We couldn't do as a school district what we're doing without the support of the AEA. We don't have enough bodies. We don't have enough resources. The support we get not only from Erica and Tom as school improvement consultants, but also from the instructional components that you guys provide have really helped Cedar Rapids be focused and show this continuous improvement. And I'm really excited about what we can do in the future. With Tom and Erica, they're like, can we just lead? I'm like, can you lead? Like, please take this and lead this, because we have people that are knowledgeable, but if you can drive this and that's what you're doing for us, there's nothing better.
After hearing such fantastic praise about our school improvement consultants, I needed to sit down with Tom himself to talk about the ESSA process. You work with almost all of the buildings, even if they're not identified as needing to go through this process, right?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things, too, about the ESSA work in general, and not just Cedar Rapids. This would be really across the agency, that even those that don't carry a designation and don't have to do this, there are some schools and districts that are choosing to participate because they know the value of the work and the conversations that our school improvement consultants provide and our content consultants provide. Truly, anybody that wants to engage with that or even part of the tools or bring us in, we are happy to support that, absolutely.
What positive things have you seen come from this process so far in working with Cedar Rapids?
They saw a lot of statistical movement. They had middle schools that completely cleared their designations and no longer required the support. They had a majority of their buildings move like a statistical category on the performance profile. So the Iowa ranking of, commendable and high achieve, like those, they moved a whole category over. They saw a lot of those that carried designations before for certain student groups. They reduced the number of student groups that were a concern. So they really had a lot of celebrations, and not just at a single level either. So elementary, middle, high school, they were seeing different improvement across the board.
After all of the challenges brought on by the pandemic, it was really amazing to hear the Cedar Rapids School District could celebrate the results of their hard work. I had a chance to talk to Deputy Superintendent Quaker yesterday, and she talked about just what you mentioned, that 28 of their 32 school buildings increased their level under ESSA. What do you attribute that to? If you had to point out a couple of things, what might you say? Hey, these things really seem to be making a difference.
So where I would start is the intentionality and the concerted effort to really dial in the focus, I think, is one contributing factor. It's oftentimes in the ESSA work, not just in Cedar Rapids, but in other places too, where there are a lot of priorities everywhere, a lot of different areas, a lot of different territories, both academically and social emotionally, that we need to support. And it's all good work. It's all the right work. But the problem being trying to spread resources and attention and follow through and professional learning across, say, 50 different initiatives, all at kind of an inch level of attention, doesn't really yield the results. So the ones that we saw, the more seismic movement, the more monumental movement, were those that could really kind of hone in and say, this is what we want to do. And we're taking those steps of, we're dedicating time for our PLC members to talk about it. As building leadership teams, we're tracking the data, we're talking about it. our AEA consultants, school improvement content consultants, the whole spectrum, if you will, working alongside them. So when they would say, I need a resource or we're not sure how to approach that, they would have that support to then bring in of this might work for the situation. Can I help train you? Can I help coach you? Really trying to draw through lines and connections throughout their entire system to make sure everything's moving in the same direction.
Now, I know that they've been using a framework, high reliability schools. Have you guys been able to work that with the ESSA work sort of seamlessly, and how has that happened?
Yes, and knowing that Iowa City and there are other districts within our agency that are moving in that direction too. Part of our approach in talking about these ESSA tools is trying to help the district and those building leadership teams realize these aren't, we're not going in two complete separate directions. They're both frameworks for improvement, ensuring all students are successful. They cover similar territory, albeit different territory, but that's been part of our coaching, is helping them make that translation, that the tools from the DE is more of the MTSS framework in mind, while they speak the HRS high reliability language every day. Here's how those things connect. Here's how this information or this work would work with your district action plan, taking that profile information and putting it into their HRS language to help them realize, oh, this is what helps us know about level 1, and this is what helps us learn about level 2. That really helps make it seem not another thing that the teachers are so worried about, is that we don't want just another thing on top of. They're really seeing it as a seamless, connected, oh, we're just carrying on. This is just another data conversation for us with a new source.
I heard all I needed to hear. I was thrilled that our district partners were benefiting from our school improvement efforts, and I wanted to sit back down with our administrators to reflect on this accomplishment. What has the feedback been like from the district so far about the process this year?
I think generally it's been very positive. They appreciate all of the support that we've been providing. We're alongside them in this journey, trying to help them improve. So the diversity of our network team has been a real asset to make sure that all voices, are heard and all the ideas are kind of brought forth to their attention.
We have a number of school buildings that are engaging in this work that are not even designated through the ESSA system. So they recognize that this is not just a check and a compliance type of an activity, but that this truly is getting at the complexities of school improvement. And so we have a number of buildings that recently have just participated in this process, and they're having really great revelations about what they need to do differently as a system to be able to respond to their data that they have.
I can't tell you how proud I am of our school improvement consultants and the great work they're doing to ensure success for all learners. I'm John Speer, and this has been On the Road.